4. God and the land. In Leviticus chapter 26 and Deuteronomy chapter 28, we have a very clear statement of the relationship between man and the land. When man is faithful to his covenant Lord, the blessings of God come upon him and overcome him, in the city and in the field, and in his coming out and his going in. If, however, man is disobedient to God and his law, he is accursed in every area. As man is blessed, the earth and the weather are blessed. As man is accursed, so too is the earth and the weather. There is, thus, an essential relationship between man and the earth, a symbiosis which rests on man's relationship with God. This relationship rests on man's communion with God, or man's lack of communion. Man cannot step out of harmony with God without experiencing disharmony and conflict in all his other relationships. This relationship of man with the earth has a certain character which makes it especially noteworthy. Man has a memory. His memory enables him to utilize past experiences and learning to command the present and the future. If all men were suddenly to lose all memory of the past, civilization would crumble, learning would perish, families would disintegrate, and man would have no history. God has total self-consciousness, but he has no history. He does not change. I am the Lord, I change not. Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. He is the same yesterday and today and forever. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 8. Man has no total self-consciousness, but he has self-consciousness, and he has a history. By means of that history, there is the accumulation of knowledge, experience, and wealth. Man's assets owe a great debt to memory. On the other hand, man's memory also proves to be a great detriment. Some would call man's sense of guilt a handicap, but in God's purpose, it is a means of humbling and breaking sinful man. It must be noted, however, that sin is the root cause of all guilt, and sin, and the guilt it produces, makes a man past-bound and past-oriented. The proper function of memory is to enable man to command the present and plan for the future. A guilt-ridden memory relives the past without learning and turns the present into a replay of the past. As a result, fallen man's memory works both for and against him. Man's history thus becomes a growing replay of his ever-increasing past offences. On the other hand, the land has neither self-consciousness nor a true memory. The past is buried. The leaves fall to the ground and rot. The rains and snows turn the past into a fine mould. The past is ploughed under or buried. The land is present-oriented and, because of the cycle of the seasons, future-oriented also. The ground bears weeds, grains, fruits and seeds, so that all its present movement is towards future growth. The land pays a price for man's past and present sins, but it has only a present life with a future growth. Memory is man's blessing and curse, but the land has no such life. The dead flower or blade of grass means nothing. The dead chick is forgotten by the hen, and the dead fish floats out of the life of the school. It is not only sin that makes man past-oriented, but fearfulness, in itself a weakness at best, and often a sin, concerning the present and the future. Another specific form of sin which binds man falsely to the past is idolatry, an idolatry of, or at best, a nostalgia for, the past. Such an idolatry is common the world over. Old China was especially past-bound, as is India today. Old England and New England are virtually museums. Too much pride is in the past and the relics of the past, which is a way of confessing to present impotence. The champions of the Old South are similarly past-bound. All such regions, nations, and cultures are in effect declaring themselves to be the great I was. Some who are overly proud of their family heritage, which in itself can be godly, fall prey to the same idolatry. God, however, identifies himself as the great I am, he who is, the God who is eternal and yet totally present in all his being. As man becomes past bound, he loses touch with God, with the present and the future, and with the land. The environmentalists often lose touch with the land because they see it in terms of an idealized past which is gone, instead of a future under God and man. They omit God and man from the land's future and thus abandon reality. All sin is at heart idolatry. And original sin, as Genesis chapter 3 verse 5 reveals, is man's desire to be his own God and law. This sin Leviticus chapter 26 verses 1 and 2 prescribes. We are then told, first, that for faithfulness to God's law, man will be blessed in the weather, the land, and in its harvests. Leviticus chapter 26, verses 3 to 5. Second, there shall be peace, that is, no danger from enemies, external and internal. This peace goes hand in hand with victory. Leviticus chapter 26, verses 6 to 8. Third, there will be fruitfulness, that is, many children, because God's covenant peace is with them. They will also have fruitful harvests and an abundance of food. Leviticus chapter 26, verses 9 and 10. Fourth, God shall dwell among his people to keep them in safety. Leviticus chapter 26, verses 11 to 13. Fifth, if they are disobedient or faithless, God will curse them. Terror, plagues, enemies, and more will pursue them, and they will see depopulation. Leviticus chapter 26, verses 14 to 26. Famine will take its toll. Sixth, in their continued apostasy, they will be pushed into cannibalism and more. The Lord will destroy their cities, and their land will be made a desolation. They will be taken into captivity also. All this will enable the land to enjoy its Sabbaths as they go into captivity. Leviticus chapter 26, verses 27 to 43. Seventh, in all of this, God will seek their restoration. His judgments will be covenant judgments, seeking their return to the law and the covenant. Leviticus chapter 26, verses 44 to 46. The future of the land is its recreation by God. Revelation chapters 21 and 22. While the land has no consciousness, it has a goal, and an angelici given by God. Paul tells us, For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the firstfruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. Romans chapter 8, verses 22 and 23. The whole creation groans like a woman in labour, waiting for the rebirth as a new creation. Only those of mankind who are redeemed share in that anticipation of a cosmic renewal. All other men are governed by the love of death. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 36. Because they are fallen, sin and death govern their being and their future. They lack a true future and are past and death-bound. The cultures of such men reflect that orientation, as do their approaches to the land, other men, politics, economics, and art. Paul, however, declares plainly that the ground beneath our feet is governed by a movement towards the great recreation of all things. We live in a future-oriented creation, and to the degree that we grow in the Holy Spirit, we share in that future orientation. We are weaned from the idolatry of the past into the joyful anticipation of the future under God. We are more than conquerors through him that loved us. Romans chapter 8, verse 37. The Song of Deborah tells us, they fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera. Judges chapter 5, verse 20. God and his creation are too much for the forces of evil. What we have been viewing is time. God is beyond time and the creator thereof. Man lives within time, and he can be oriented to the past, which is dangerous and even suicidal, or to the present, and live only for today, heedless of all consequences. Too many environmentalists are past-bound, trying to create an imaginary past. Other men are exploitative and present-bound. They forget that the world was not empty when they came into it, and they have a duty under God to leave it richer before their time ends. The godly man is future-oriented, while respectful of the past and mindful of present needs and duties. It is obvious that time never stands still, and neither can anything within creation. For man to seek a timeless and utopian social order and a static natural order is to attempt the impossible and to sin. Change and growth are God-ordained aspects of the temporal order and inevitable for man.